Are you a current podcaster or someone who's interested in podcasting and you're wondering what it's like to build a show, keep a show going, book guests, and do all those sorts of things? Well, then you've come to the right place, because in today's short clip, I talked to Joel Miller from Party Like a Rockstar podcast, and we break it all down. What is happening, roadies? Thank you for coming back, tuning back in. It is great to have you here. I appreciate you. You know that I do. So like I said, in today's episode, I talked to Joel Miller, host and producer of the podcast Party Like a Rockstar. It is a fantastic show. You must check it out. There is a link to it below. There is also a link below to this full episode with Joel that you can find wherever you get your podcast. I will leave that down there. Go ahead and click on that. You got to check it out. It is quite an entertaining little episode that we did. But in this short clip, we talk about starting a show, booking guests, you know, all the work that goes into doing a show. He does 2 episodes a week. I only do 1. There are reasons for both, why you should do it, why you shouldn't do it. And don't forget, if you're looking to up-level your game, check out the Roadie Free Radio podcast bundle from One of One Productions. It includes a Roswell Pro Audio Mini K87 microphone, a Focusrite 2i2 interface, the 3rd generation of that interface. It's so awesome. It makes everything sound so crispy and beautiful. Also, we have a pair of AKG headphones included, all the cables that you need to get started, as well as a beautiful hard shell carrying case to keep your gear protected when you are on the road. So check that out. Use the code roadiefreeradio when you check out. And with all that out of the way, let's get to this short clip with Joel Miller from Party Like a Rockstar podcast.
Call yourself a roadie?
What do you want to do with the show? You want to keep going with what you got right now? Do you want to grow it? What's your plans?
You know, I'm not sure. When I first started, what had happened was an agent friend of mine had said, if you build it, I can put it on Sirius Radio. And as I started to learn more about the industry, no, you fucking can't, dude. There's way too many people here doing this. So I learned that wasn't true.
Yeah.
Sounds like
an LA. Sounds like a fucking LA response.
No, he's a New York guy. He's a New York guy.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, he's a big agent for comedians, and he won't give me any comedians because he's all, they'll just eat you alive. Well, eat alive my ass. Stick them on my show. And he goes, nope. So I had no comedians so far. I'm a no comedian podcast right so far. So I was actually trying to get this comedian recently, and it just didn't work out, which was a bummer. His name is Ismo, and he's really, really talented. He's a very funny guy, but. Yeah, the nice thing is you can do what you want, you know, and since none of us are really profiting from this, if you are profiting, I'm going to assume it's minimal, you know, with no disrespect to all of our little clique of guys. It's nice because you're kind of all buddies, you know, so I'll write to a friend, like I just had this guy and he was badass. You need to contact this guy. He was really fun to talk to.
Okay.
And so I've had a couple of those, and I've done a couple of those where I've told a couple of friends, and I like that. I mean, it's fun. It's like this little cottage industry of fun, neat stuff. So I do like it. I might stop releasing 2 a week because it's a lot of work.
Oh, man. You do 2 a week?
I release 2 a week, so it's a lot.
When did you start?
Like 9 months ago, I think, something like that. I'm 100 episodes roughly now.
Okay. That's 2 a week, man. That's aggressive.
It's brutal. It's a lot. Well, they say when I first started, you know, content. You need content. I'm like, I'll give you content, motherfuckers. So I was putting on lots of them.
Jesus.
And in the beginning, I actually had some interns and I had people editing.
Nice.
And I found it was less work for me to learn how to edit and edit it myself.
Yep.
And most of my edit, though, is just getting out pops and stuff or lulls where nobody says anything. Guy gets up to close the door or whatever.
Right.
I'll get rid of some of that. I'll usually let it free flow, too, unless, like I said earlier, if I think one of the stories might be compromising to their career, I'll ask them if they care.
That's funny. See, I tell people that I'm not going to edit, and if they don't want something, they'll let me know. And I've had that. We get done with an interview and someone's like, "Oh shit, dude, that thing I said about you got to cut that." Cool, I'll take that out. But I'm not.
Yeah,
I don't have a conscience.
I had a guy leave his home address a couple times. You know,
yeah.
He was telling this great story. So, obviously you're gonna want to edit that out,
right?
And then just minor stuff. Honestly, most of what I've taken out is stuff that. Who gives a shit?
Right.
You wouldn't have cared anyway. I signed an NDA, and we can't know that the brothers don't get along.
Right.
Whatever. Yeah, I don't give a shit. Okay, what else you got?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
How'd you do during this pandemic, man? What were you doing? Where were you? What were you doing when this thing fucking started?
well, I'm mostly a landlord. I'm an evil landlord. is most of what I do. So I'm actually trying to be a pretty cool landlord. I'm pretty nice to everybody. And that's my income now, my bread and butter, mostly that and memorabilia. I'm not doing as much art as I was doing.
Okay.
So on the memorabilia side, I've got quite a lot of stuff. I have the original handwritten sheet music to Pink Floyd, The Wall. I have it on loan to the band right now. Yeah,
Holy
so that's
shit,
like the high-end crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I sold Robert De Niro's boxing gloves for Raging Bull. I have a Justin Timberlake outfit here from NSYNC. I have
so then
Whoopi
it's not that far a stretch for you to get a white Elvis jumpsuit for your fucking 50th birthday. Come on.
Oh, yeah, no, there's a good possibility. I mean, it shouldn't anybody.
Just pick up a phone and call someone.
It should be a rite of passage for all roadies.
Yes.
It should. Yeah.
That's
so,
really
I don't know,
cool,
dabbling.
Man.
Yeah, so I've been dabbling around. And then landlord stuff helps me pay my bills and keep going. And so that's the bread and butter. And then I've been talking to some reality show guys lately. And I might actually do a reality. I never thought I'd go into TV again. But I might jump into some reality stuff.
Just following you around, collecting rent from your tenants or what?
No, it would be more as me in a producer capacity, probably putting some shows together, and then that would be it. There's some guys talking about syndicating my podcast, but I don't see it happening. But
yeah,
here there's so much talk. You just
Yeah.
Can I get another beer, please?
Right, exactly. It's so funny, man. I mean, I started my show. Shit, it's gonna be 6 years ago this May. Right around your birthday, as a matter of fact. I think instead of Elvis dying on your birthday, my show launched on your birthday.
Hey.
6 years ago. And even in that short amount of time, the whole podcast landscape has just shifted and changed and gone fucking crazy. And
in the beginning, I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there like, okay, YouTube is awesome. Like, this is so simple. Boom, 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 it's up.
Yeah.
But how do I get it on the other stuff? So I was learning that, and then finding people was so hard in the beginning, man. Mm-hmm. And then my platform's different. I always bring on 2 guests. So now I'm dealing with scheduling. So that's hard. But if I have 2 good guests, it's fucking, I have a ball. I love it. I have a really good time.
Well, that's nice to have, especially if you can ping pong that way a little bit better. I mean, I've had interviews where it's like, okay, this is going to be tough because I interview people that generally don't want to be in front of a camera or behind a mic. They want to be like tucked away.
So
in
I
a bus.
listened to one. You gain these new appreciations. So I listened to David Letterman.
Yeah.
On YouTube. And God, he was good. I mean, really, really good. Howard Stern is so aggressive in his questions.
Yeah.
And so it's stuff that I never thought about until I tried. So I was listening to David Letterman interviewing Andre the Giant. It was tough because Andre just like, oh, yeah. And that's it. He just kept saying yes.
Yeah.
And then David Letterman's just boom, boom, boom with the good stuff. And I'm thinking like, man, he is a genius because it's hard when the guy's like,
Yeah.
Or you say a joke and it doesn't go over too good. Those are always a little rough. I haven't released it yet, but I had one guy, he's going on. His girlfriend's the bee's knees, man. She's awesome. She's the best thing that happened in my life, blah, blah, blah. So I turned to the other guy. I'm also, you dating her too? And this guy, he did not like it, Larry. He didn't like it. So I'm sitting there like, okay, backtrack. I'm like, sorry.
Oh, my God.
It was a roadie joke. You're supposed to be like, fuck you.
Right.
But he didn't. He just was kind of like a little offended. I was like, oh, shit. Sorry, buddy.
There goes your syndication. But that's just
there
it. Like,
goes out the window. That guy's dad was like the head of Sony or something.
Oh, my God. But, that's the thing, man. It's like 6 years ago, people weren't really talking like that. I mean, I've talked to people in the last couple years who are like, yeah, so these folks want to put together a podcast around me. And it's like they talk about it like they're getting ready to pitch a movie, right? And some studio's going to give them money to make their movie, or the studio's going to like package up their podcast. And that's happening for sure, I mean, if you're a name and all that kind of stuff. But then people
it's
try
tough.
to pitch it, but it's kind of like the thing I tell people when I get, the opportunity to talk about podcasting or I get, I'm talking to, I've produced other people's shows or consulted to help launch them. And I say, you don't want that at first, because first of all, this is what I tell people straight up. Like, once you start feeding the beast wants to eat. As you know, you're making 2 shows a fucking week, dude. That's a lot of work.
It's a lot. It's a struggle.
It's a lot. And you feel like, it took me a long time to finally be like, oh my God, I didn't post this week. Oh my God, is the world going to crumble? No one's
so
really
I had, man,
shit,
through, I post through Libsyn, and I know they changed, or I don't know. Somehow I screwed up. I don't know what I did.
Yeah.
But so I didn't post for like 3 weeks. They were just going on as, they were coming on as old episodes instead of new.
Right.
So if I had any listeners on that, they probably thought I said, fuck it.
Right.
And so that was like, oops, didn't know about that.
Yeah, they just did some changing in their platforms, and I got uploaded 2 episodes. And somehow the thing didn't take that I had scheduled them, and it put them out right then.
They're confusing.
What the fuck?
Honestly,
and like 20 minutes later, I went back and I was like, why are these shows out? These shows shouldn't be out. And they already had listens. I was like, what the fuck? So, but
yeah, it's too late.
But
then.
the thing is,
it's like one of my best ones, number wise, people listening.
Yeah.
And it never, I don't know, it disappeared. It wasn't on there. So I had to re-upload that one. And I was like, oof, that's brutal. So
yeah. But what I tell people is, like, it takes like 20 to 30 episodes to find your voice, to find your thing. So you gotta go into it. You gotta do it for a bit, then fucking.
See, my thing is find 2 guys and just let them talk, and then I just hang out and just go to sleep.
Yeah, there you go.
That's my voice.
That's your voice. That's perfect, man.
That's my voice. That's what I do.
There you go, guys. A short conversation about what it takes to run, host, and keep a podcast going and not to burn out, hopefully, which I've been there and I've done it. Leave me a comment below if you have some stories about running your podcast, what you've been through, some of your struggles. I'd love to hear from you. Go ahead and like and subscribe this video if you wouldn't mind. Hit the bell so you get notified when new episodes come out. Don't forget, you can find the full episode wherever you get your podcast. Thank you to Joel for doing this. Thank you to you guys for swinging by. And remember, no roadies, no rock and roll.